Hello, I'm William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and in this video I'd like to provide students in the Academy's Greek Reading 1 course with some help with their first lesson in Greek reading. In this course we're going to study the first 3 or 4 chapters of the Gospel of St. John, because by that time, around chapter 3 or 4, more like the end of chapter 4, you'll start to see that your vocabulary has come to a level where you really don't need much help anymore, at least with the study of the Gospel of John. And at that time, I like to move into Greek Reading 2, where we take up some classical Greek reading where the vocabulary is different, and you can continue to expand your knowledge of the Greek language. So in this course, we'll be reading 5 verses at a time in each lesson, just like we do in Latin reading, same structure. I always recommend that students begin with Latin and then move into Greek, because if a student has studied Latin, grammar and reading, and then comes into Greek, Greek is very, very easy. Greek has fewer cases than Latin, for example. Once we get over the hump of the Greek alphabet, Greek studies are actually very simple. I've always found Latin studies more challenging than Greek studies. For those of you who are getting started and don't know how to read Greek yet, and I mean don't know the alphabet, don't know the sounds of the letters and things like that, at the top of the course page in Greek Reading 1, I've posted a number of videos that walk you step by step through learning the names of the Greek letters, the sounds of the Greek letters, how to read Greek syllables. There's a few preparatory videos at the top of the course page that should help you with everything you need to get reading quickly in ancient Greek. So let's go ahead and look at the text. We're going to study together verses 1 through 5 of the Gospel of St. John, and this is the lesson text right out of the lesson. It's very, very simple. We simply move 5 verses at a time. We read each line, practice good pronunciation, learn the vocabulary, and it's assumed that students who are working through this Greek reading course are also going to be studying Greek grammar. So I'm not going to do a lot of Greek grammar explanation or commentary in these Greek reading videos, because we have a separate Greek grammar course which is expected to be studied. All right, so let's begin by taking a look at the text up top here. We have the text of the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. And the first thing we need to do, as I said, is we need to practice reading the Greek nice and slow. Work on accuracy first. Speed will come later. Just practice reading and read one syllable at a time. Keep it very, very simple. All right? So as we do this first reading, let's just do it together, and I'll walk you through slowly. Okay? So let's look up here at verse 1 of the Gospel of John, chapter 1. En arche ein ho logos, kai ho logos ein pros ton theon, kai theos ein ho logos. Verse 2. Notice this is rough breathing with a circumflex accent. So we're going to go up and down on this first syllable with rough breathing. So listen carefully. Houtos ein en arche pros ton theon. Verse 3. Panta di autou egeneto kai choris autou egeneto oude hen, notice the rough breathing, hen ha gegonen. Verse 4. En auto zoe ein kai he zoe ein to phos ton anthropon. And verse 5. Kai to phos en te scotia phaine, kai he scotia auto u katelaben. So priority number 1 is just learning to read the Greek, pronouncing every letter and syllable clearly, paying attention to the breathing marks and the accents, and just making sure you get things accurate as you get started. Don't try to rush. Don't worry about speed. After a few lessons, you'll be very comfortable. At the beginning, concentrate on accuracy. So work on your reading and try to read as accurately as possible. Now, once you get through reading the text, we then learn the meaning. You see the exposition here. We learn the meaning one word at a time. I provide the information that you need to understand the meaning of every word in the text. There's nothing that you need to look up in a dictionary or anything like that. Everything is provided for you right here. So we simply take the text of verse 1 and we review it. En arche ein hologos, kai hologos ein pros ton theon, kai theos ein hologos. And then we simply come down and study one word at a time. This first word, en, is a preposition. It means in. And in parentheses here, you'll see words. These are the Latin equivalents. So if you've studied Latin, it's helpful to see which Latin words that we studied when we read the Gospel of John correlate to these Greek words. It helps you to understand exactly what the meaning of these Greek words is if you know Latin. So en means in. Arche is a substantive noun. It means beginning. En arche. Arche means beginning. Then we have the verb ein, which means was and is equivalent to the Latin verb erat. Then we have ho, which is a definite article. And if you studied Latin, there are no articles in Latin. So this is something new that has to be learned in Greek. And that's why studying Greek grammar at the same time is helpful, because there are some differences. A lot of it's the same, but there are some differences. The use of articles is one important difference between Latin and Greek. So we have ho, the definite article, which is equivalent to the English word the. And notice there's no Latin equivalent because there's no article in Latin. So we see ho logos. Logos is a substantive noun. It means word. It's equivalent to the Latin verbum. So we have ho logos, the word. Remember, in Latin, we translated it into English and we used the English article the, but we would put it in parentheses to remind ourselves that the word the was not present in the Latin text. Here we see in Greek that doesn't need to be done because the definite article is in the Greek text and we translate it directly into Latin. Note also that this is why the knowledge of the original language of the New Testament, Greek, helps us with the translation of Latin, because when we look back at the original Greek translation, it helps us to understand exactly how it should be translated into English, because English wouldn't translate it exactly the same as Latin would. So we have logos, which is the Greek word for word, verbum. We then have kai, which is the conjunction that means and in English, and it's equivalent to et in Latin. We then have the preposition pros, which means with, and then ton theon. Ton is another form of the article. It means the, and theon means God, which is equivalent to deum in Latin. And lastly, theos, a substantive that means God, equivalent to deus. So we see in theon and theos two different forms of the same Greek noun, just as we see two different forms of the noun in Latin. Okay, so you've got a word-by-word exposition of the text, and now you can simply take that exposition, go back and translate this first line. All right, and the way you should do that is by translation exercises. So copy this Greek out onto a sheet of lined paper. I recommend you use paper and pen or pencil rather than a document or a word processor. It's just to practice the Greek letters. Practice writing and studying the forms of the Greek letters. It's good for you to study them at that level. Copy out the Greek text and then use this exposition to go and write the translation of each Greek word underneath it, one word at a time, and repeat that exercise. Copy out the Greek, write out the translation. Copy out the Greek, write out the translation, word by word, until you've got it mastered and don't need to look at the exposition anymore. There's two different ways that you can do that. One way, like I said, is to write out the Greek and then write the English translation underneath each word. Sometimes that's a little clumsy. An old-fashioned way of doing it was simply writing a Greek word and then the English translation, and then the next Greek word and the English translation, and just go word by word through the text. All right, so that's all you need to do to study this lesson. You've got the exposition of that first verse, and then do the translation exercise, write out the Greek, write the English translation of each word, and just drill and drill and drill that until you've got it all mastered and don't need to look at the exposition anymore. When you're at that point, go on to verse 2 and continue that until you can do it for all 5 verses. The other exercise to practice is to go backwards. Write out the English and then see if you can turn the English into the Greek, and then compare your Greek to the original text and see that you get everything translated back into Greek accurately. Okay, so that's how to study the passage. That's how to learn the vocabulary and the translation. But also, as you do that, when you repeat those translation exercises multiple times, you'll just about have the Greek text memorized by the time you're able to translate it without looking at the exposition anymore. So you'll also learn quite a bit of the Greek text. Once you're done with that, just go down to verse 2. Hu tos ein en arche pros ton theon. And again, you see the word-by-word exposition. Hu tos means this. Ein means was. En means in. Arche means beginning. Pros means with. Ton means the. And theon means God. Get to work on the translation exercise until you've got that mastered. Verse 3, Panta di autou egeneto, kai koris autou egeneto, ude, hen, ha, gegonen. Notice here we have this word di with an apostrophe because it's a contraction. And I provide that information for you in the exposition. You see, di is actually a contracted form of the preposition dia, which means through. Okay, so I provide all of the details of the text and its translation that you need to study this. You don't need to use a dictionary or anything like that. It's very simple, all in your lesson. I want to show you how important it is to be careful, because if you look here, we learned ha, the letter omicron with rough breathing was the definite article. All right? But if we scroll down and look at verse 3, we see this here, ha, with an accent mark added, which is actually not the definite article, but a pronoun. So sometimes Greek can be that specific, where a different sign on a letter can actually identify a different word. So make sure you're careful and study the exposition one word at a time. Don't assume you know anything as you're getting started here, because it can be tricky. Make sure you read each entry in the exposition. Verse 4, En auto zoe ein kai he zoe ein tophos ton anthropon. Again, all of the exposition you need, all the way down through the end, and then at the bottom of the page, sorry if my picture's in the way, blocking this a little bit, but you have the English translation, which follows this exposition word for word. Now, one thing I want to say is, Normally when I give a translation like this in a lesson, it's just based on our exposition up here. What I encourage you to do is compare this to an approved Catholic Bible, like the Douay-Rheims. Compare them. See how they're alike and how they're different. Because if you study the exposition and understand this translation and how it comes from the exposition, when you look at an approved Catholic Bible, the Douay-Rheims is actually not a good example, because the Douay-Rheims is not a translation of the Greek text. The Douay-Rheims is actually just a direct translation of the Latin Vulgate, so it's not a translation of the Greek. But it's good to compare them, because comparing them will help you to see things that are significant in the Catholic translation, where the Church has actually interpreted the text and it's affected the translation. Those kinds of distinctions are actually very important, and that's one of the benefits of studying the language, is that you can learn to appreciate the Catholic translations because the Church's interpretation is included in those translations. All right? When people say, if you study Greek, you can translate the Bible for yourself, that is not true, because there are many options, there are many decisions that need to be made in translation, and it comes down to questions of or disputes of interpretation. And when we get that, how do we make those decisions? That's where church authority comes in, to make those interpretive decisions for us. So compare the English translation based on the exposition to an approved Catholic English Bible, and pay attention to what you see that's different between them. Okay? So that's how to study Lesson 1 in Greek reading. Like I said, if you're not familiar with the Greek alphabet and letters and sounds, take your time and study the preparatory videos that I posted at the beginning of the course. Once you're comfortable actually reading the language, then go ahead and jump in and get started with this first lesson in Greek reading. In the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, there's no need to start with fake reading lessons and fake studies. We can jump right in to real Greek language texts and start reading them. And join to this study of Greek reading, the study of Greek grammar. Just take your time and work through Greek grammar as you work through Greek reading, and you're going to have a great knowledge of the Greek language as you go along. So I hope that's a helpful walk through this first lesson in Greek reading. You have to do that work of study. I mean, I can help you. I've already helped you by providing the exposition. Now it's time for you to do your part and prove yourself to be a student by studying this text, practicing correct reading and pronunciation, studying the exposition, doing the translation exercises, mastering the vocabulary and the translation, and then proving that mastery on your lesson assessment. If you have any questions, please get in touch. That's part of what it means to be a good student. A student is one who is seeking something. And so a good student is going to be asking questions. And so if you go through these studies and questions start to pop up in your mind, get in touch and ask those questions. That's what it means to be a student. Make it your zeal to master these lessons. And I assure you, I will always be available to help you. It will never be me holding you back from studies. It will be whether or not you're seeking as you need to seek them to master them. So if you have any questions, get in touch. I hope that's a helpful intro. God bless your studies.